El presidente Donald Trump, tengo entendido que ya lo tenemos en línea, así que vamos a conectarnos de inmediato con él a esta hora en Americano Media. Esta es una entrevista exclusiva para toda nuestra red de Americano. Mr. President, can you hear me? Thank you for being here with us at Americano.
I can very well, and thank you very much. It's my honor.
It's our honor, too. To start, I'm going to take you back to the day after the midterm elections, November 9th, 2022. President Biden said, and I quote, "We just have to demonstrate that he will not take power if he does run, and making sure he, under legitimate efforts of our Constitution, does not become the next president again." Is the Department of Justice doing President Biden's bidding? Is President Biden responsible for what's happening?
Well, absolutely. They're working together, and there's never been anything like it. A witch hunt like this has never taken place. When you look at what they've done and when you look at the criminal acts and the horrible acts that they've committed, and then they come after me. And as you know, not only with the Hispanic community, because we got 94% of the Cuban vote, 94% of the Venezuelan vote. We did tremendously well. I got the Bay of Pigs Award in Miami. They gave me the Cuban people gave me the Bay of Pigs Award. It was such an honor. We've done, really a very outstanding job with everybody. We had almost 75 million votes that we know of, okay, because the election was all messed up and it was a disgrace, frankly. And they're using this because they're losing in the polls. They're losing very big in the polls. You probably see we're beating the sanctimonious, I call them, by a lot, by like 35, 40, 50 points in some polls. And we're beating Biden by 10 points, 11 points, 12 points. We're beating him very easily. So they're using this because they can't win the election fairly and squarely. And they did make that statement right after the midterms. He made that statement. That was a terrible statement to make because basically that means that he's going to use law enforcement to try and win an election that he can't win in the ballot box.
What we're seeing here is the type of thing, Mr. President, that sadly happens in Latin America. And our Americano audience, it's very aware of it. A lot of people have left their countries because of the lack of democracy, the lack of law and order, rule of law, and the persecution of the political conservative opposition. It's happening in Colombia, Brazil with Bolsonaro. Yeah. Hispanics can't help but notice that it's happening here in the U.S. Pollings, like you said, say that you're doing great with Hispanics, and you actually started a move of Hispanics towards the Republican Party. Are we regressing as a democracy? How do you think Hispanics feel about this?
Well, there is a regression, but there's been an incredible love fest between the Hispanic community and myself. It's been incredible. I've done a lot. As you know, I've done a lot for everybody in that community. That community is amazing. The spirit, the entrepreneurship, everything about it. It's just been, it's been right from the beginning, right from the time I got there. And really, it's made the Republican Party a much different party because of it. The Republican Party was not doing well with the Hispanic people. And these people are so incredible. And I let people know, I guess people can feel it. And they can really feel that they're very smart and they could feel the love. And it's really changed the whole Republican Party. And when I ran down here, we did so well. Jorge Masvidal, the champion fighter, and so many others, athletes. Jorge's great, but so many other athletes, Hispanic athletes, they like me, and I like them, and I like the people. And yeah, they're changing it. They're trying to change the rules right now. And what they're using is the Justice Department, the FBI, to try and at least hurt in the sense of a public relations sense, to put it sort of in a nice term, or do worse than that. And they're trying to do that to win elections. And you're right, in South America, in Latin America, you take a look, it's such an incredible question because nobody asked that question. But so many, I think maybe one of the reasons they like me, so many people have been so hurt in Colombia and other countries in Latin America, South America, and they really see it better than other people do. A lot of people haven't experienced that, but your listeners have experienced it and have experienced it very big. And I think it's had a very negative connotation when they hear about this Biden administration that's that's been horrible on Cuba, that's been so weak on Cuba, it's pathetic. We were so strong on Cuba, and you were seeing tremendous movement. He's given everything to the dictators and to the people that are running Cuba. Look at what he's done with other nations. He's been so bad to Hispanics in this country and Hispanics anywhere. He's been so bad. And they've weaponized the Justice Department, absolutely weaponized it, in order to try and win an election where he's way behind.
When you say they're not coming after me, they're coming after you. I'm just here standing in their way. What do you mean by that, Mr. President?
Yeah. Well, they are coming after me. They came after me. Nobody thought this would be possible. We had a very successful administration. We were energy independent. We were actually going to be energy dominant in a very short while. You look at the tax cuts, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest regulation cuts in history, rebuilt our military. All of the things we did things that nobody thought. They're saying it was a great administration, but we had a strong border. We wanted people to come in, but we wanted the people come in legally, come in through our border, come in legally, because we want people to come into our country, but they have to do it through a legal process. And all of the things we didn't have the problems we have now with Russia and Ukraine. That would have never happened. You look at what's going on with China all over the place. They're laughing at us. It's so crazy what's happening, but they're laughing. They don't respect Biden. They don't respect our leadership, and they don't respect our country anymore. When I was here, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. Not, as you know, not one president ever took in 10 cents. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China, and they respected us as a country. They don't respect us anymore. So when people see that, they really want to go back to where it was, and we had it going unbelievably. There's never been anything like it.
Let's talk about timing, President, Mr. Trump. We learned about the indictment the same week, perhaps the same day, that the members of the Oversight Committee in the House were able to see a document from a very credible source, we hear, that Joe Biden was the object of a bribe, that he accepted $5 million to change policy that would benefit Burisma, an energy company in Ukraine. What's your reaction to that? Do you think this indictment is a way to distract the attention from where the real corruption is at?
Well, I do. I think it was that, and they say there's much more to follow. And I also think it was a way of solving the problem he's got with Hunter, where they have so many different things on Hunter. And Hunter is him because they're the same. You know, Hunter's taking in money, and they're taking it in by the busload. They're taking in so much. And the Republicans in Congress have caught them, and there's a lot more than the $5 million. But certainly this is a way of them deflecting that. And they thought by doing this, but I actually think it's put more pressure on them. It's actually, people are talking about it now all the time, between Burisma, all the money that Burisma paid them, tremendous amounts of money. And by the way, they paid it through Hunter, and Hunter admitted that he knows nothing about energy, but they're paying him millions and millions of dollars. Now, this is a way of deflecting that, and I think it's backfired, frankly, because you see the love, and you see the poll numbers going up. My poll numbers going way, way up, and I think people understand it. People in this country understand it. And the Hispanics understand it, I think, better than anybody else because they've seen it before.
Americans have not forgotten that Hillary Clinton mismanaged classified material. She had thousands of emails with classified information in a private server at her home. She destroyed that material. Right. She never relinquished that material to Congress, and Congress has subpoenaed that material. She destroyed it. President Biden had classified material that has been found all over the place, some of them not secure in places where it could have easily been accessed by third parties or by a foreign agent, but they were not charged. Is there a double standard here?
Totally double standard. Your questions are so incredible and so nice, and I really appreciate it. Now I see why you're so popular. Now I understand it, okay? My people said this is an incredible person, an incredible woman. I understand it now very well. But you're right. It's a two-tier system of justice. And if you're a Republican or if you're a conservative, or frankly, it's turning out to be Hispanic, if you look at, because the way they're treating your homelands where you originally came from in many cases is incredible. Instead of getting justice and instead of getting democracy and all the things that you want, it's just the opposite. But it is an absolute two-tier system of justice, no question about it.
In this indictment, they make all sorts of allegations. It's that you retained material, you withheld material from them, you made false statements, conspired to obstruct a federal investigation. What do you make of all these allegations, Mr. Trump?
Well, they're all fake because, under the Presidential Records Act, I'm allowed to do all of those things. You're allowed to keep the documents, you negotiate with the archives, and even the archives, by the way, they have red flagged the Constitution and the Bill of Rights because they're dangerous documents. I mean, even if you look at the archives, this is no innocent group either. But I will tell you that under the Presidential Records Act, all these things are allowed to be done. Then they come in and they raid the house. Another thing, when your listeners hear about this, because they've seen it, okay, they've seen it much more so than most, but they raided Mar-a-Lago. The other thing is that Bill Clinton won a case many years ago. They call it the socks case because I guess they took things out in their socks, and the judge ruled in favor of Clinton that he was allowed to have it. So I was allowed to have it. You negotiate with people. You don't get your house raided. Nothing like this has ever happened in the history of our country. But you negotiate with people, the people from the archives. They raided the house. They raided Mar-a-Lago. But under the Presidential Records Act, you're allowed to have it. We did everything right. And then on top of that, you have a lawsuit. And the lawsuit, and they call it the Sox case lawsuit. It was a Bill Clinton lawsuit, where the judge ruled, in a very strong judge, to put it mildly, and it's a long time ago, it's law, but a judge ruled that what he did was right. It was fine. He was allowed to keep it. So it's the same thing. And they know that. And they don't even mention that in the indictment. They don't mention Presidential Records Act, and they don't mention the Sox case. They don't even mention it. It's really incredible to people.
Last but not least, Mr. President, where do you find the strength to keep going for the American people?
I love our country. I developed a phrase a long time ago called "Make America Great Again," and also America First. But America First gets America so it does become great again. And we had it great. We were energy independent. All of the things we did, we were going to be energy dominant. But we passed the biggest tax cuts in history, which all of your listeners are saying that's true. We did things that nobody ever thought were possible. And now we had the greatest jobs in the history of our country. And the Hispanic people were the biggest beneficiaries. They did phenomenally well during my term. And we want to bring that back. I want to make America great again. I also, I feel that I'm in a position to do it. I know where all the skeletons are. We know where all the bad ones are and the good ones are. And frankly, we have great people in the country. We have to put them in. But we had a tremendous 4 years, unbelievable 4 years. We had the greatest economy in history. And the people want to see it come back. They want to see it come back, and we can bring it back quickly.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, for being here with us on Americano Media, and hopefully we will have you here soon again.
You will, and your show is fantastic. I've heard such great things about it, and congratulations, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.